Maybe center is good, but
We're live now.
yes,
Okay.
I'm adjusting sides center.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to yet another Q&A. Today we have all kinds of good questions. And we're going to start with Dominic. He would like to ask about other meditations. Advanced meditations were mentioned in the last Q&A. Can you list them again and tell where we can find them? Are they on the website or on the Patreon platform? I recall that Aki mentioned the Archangelic meditation and one or two others, but the audio wasn't clear. Yeah, all the meditation, there's so many of them, there's no way for us to list them up, but they are available on Panayota's website at stoaseries.com. And you'll have to look under the link that's called Panayota's Meditations. Now, most of them are available on a CD. Some are available for download, but not so many. But there are hundreds and hundreds. There's no way to list them all up. And they really won't do you any good until you get the basics done, till you master the basics of the preliminary meditation. That's the three suns meditations. Any of the basic ones that were given first are the ones I'm talking about. But there's plenty of others, but we need to go through them sequentially so that we get the skills necessary to be able to have a meaningful meditation with the higher meditations, because they really, really lift you up. Aki's really great about giving those meditations and lifting you up. But ultimately, you have to do the practices and develop the skills so that you can take yourself into these spaces too. Aki?
Okay. At the very beginning, I recommended to read the book of esoteric practice, and they practice one by one, many times, diligently and patiently. And we have many advanced, very beautiful. Please do.
It's done.
Okay. We have many beautiful advanced exercises in CDs and as the books and store series. It's all of them are so beautiful. But if you would like to study with Patreon, then after reading the esoteric practice a lot, then I would like to recommend you to start with our Patreon channel, starting with the breathing exercise, series of breathing exercise. And the next is a series of healing exercises. And next, now we are working on introspection exercise series. So step by step, we uploaded the many exercises systematically. So you can go back to the very beginning and catch up all exercises in our archives in Patreon.
Okay.
And Daniel, probably we skipped the other questions from last one.
No.
Dominic said,
Please don't.
what?
I don't know where the others are.
Maybe we
I
have
answered
one.
them. I looked. I thought pretty much I'd answered them, but you can go look now. Take the time now and go look if you want.
We have one here.
Okay. What is the question that we didn't answer?
Yeah,
last time?
probably we skipped his question.
That one?
Mm.
Okay, apparently we missed one from Dominic, who asked, how do we implant an auto-suggestion into the unconsciousness during introspection? Well, it's not the unconsciousness, it's the subconsciousness. And it's really simple to do. You just set the intent. You set the intent. For example, you can do it in words or you can do it in writing. For example, let's say you got irritated that day with somebody, and this person, you get irritated with them a lot. And so you set the programming at night just before you go to sleep, when the subconscious is very porous, you say, I will not get, no matter what the provocation is, I will not get angry at this person. You set that in there. And the Dasclos, if you really want to make it strong, write it in capital red letters and read it every night before you go to sleep. That's the best way, Don.
Yep. During the introspection, every night before you sleep, at the end of your introspection, after reviewing the whole day of your day, we make kind of affirmation and we make auto suggestion into our subconsciousness and sleep. But when we do this auto suggestion, please don't use the negative sentences like I, like for example, I don't want to behave ugly like that next time or something like that. Please don't use the word not. Instead of that, please use the affirmative sentence. Affirmative sentence. I do want to, or I want to express like this next time. So create a very positive, affirmative elemental as the visualization and go to sleep. That will work. Then we have next question of Dominic last time, probably.
Seems like we answered that one, but can you explain more about the Holy Spirit making a cure through the etheric double of the psychotherapist? Sure, the psychotherapist, what's he doing? He's flooding the body of the patient who needs the healing. It could be their material body, the psychical body, or noetical body. Depends on the nature of the wound or the illness. And he's flooding that. So what he does is he learns how to connect himself with etheric vitality, not just in his body, but all around, surrounding the planet. And he uses that to transfer it into the patient. Now, of course, this isn't, you can't, the psychotherapist can't complain or claim that this is his energy because he's taken it from the Holy Spirit. This etheric vitality is everywhere. It's under the domain of the Holy Spirit. So he's just a middleman. He's just taking it and putting it into the body of the patient and other things he's doing at the same time. But in terms of your question, he's taking it in his etheric double and passing it into the etheric double of the patient. There's all these other things happening too. But that's what's happening in terms of the Holy Spirit and the etheric vitality and a psychotherapist.
Yes, answering to your question, we have kind of 3 steps to do the healing work. Maybe we can take a look in our archive and the meditation archive in Patreon. I explained the whole steps, how to develop and how to proceed our healing work. But simply, at the beginning, we just counsel people and try to help using whatever device or whatever tool or skill. This is our first step. So in the world, we have so many types of different healing systems. But the next step, what we call the practice of as the psychotherapist, we deal with the etheric vitality, the function of etheric vitality, which is kinetic, aesthetic imprinting, and we train ourselves again and again using those functions of ether, and then slowly, and eventually we will be entrusted by Holy Spirit. Then the creative ether comes through us, through the psychotherapist. Then we can be this psychotherapist, will become the co-creator of the universe, like with the Holy Spirit and the Christ, Logos. Then we can do the work healing work, the materialization or dematerialization. Then this psychotherapist will be called spiritual healer. So this is the last step. So 1, 2, 3. The counseling using many devices, miscellaneous devices. The second step is a psychotherapist train a long time, and eventually we called the spiritual healer, being entrusted by Holy Spirit. So in this way we will move on. Maybe the next one. We didn't answer, probably.
Question is, how do we contact the subconscious and the solar plexus? By concentration. You concentrate on that center. You attune with that center. You visualize in that center. You use the center. You work with the center, and that puts you in contact with the subconsciousness.
Your question, how do we contact the subconsciousness in the solar plexus? Yes, as he says, we can concentrate on the solar plexus. We have a certain exercise to concentrate on it. But please be careful. If our subconsciousness is not cleansed enough, if our subconsciousness is not cleansed perfectly enough, then when we work on the solar plexus and when the gate opens, we will reach access to this certain level, psychonoetical kind of level, which is resonating with our psychonoetical vibration. So when you work on this, we have to before we work on this, we need to be, our subconsciousness need to be cleansed. Otherwise, we will experience nightmare if it's not cleansed well enough. So please be careful on this point. And I would like to recommend you to work on introspection exercise every night. Then introspection exercise is we are working on our subconsciousness, so we can also contact with our subconsciousness through introspection. This is more safer, and I recommend it.
Another question was, how do we create the protective star and shell? Well, just follow any one of the meditations on how to create a star. There's a number of ways we do it depending on which star, but you just visualize this five-pointed star outside of your body. So you're completely inside. Your fingers, your toes, everything is inside this five-pointed star. And then you create it by visualization. And of course, the protective shell of light, how does that relate inside the and in relationship to the star? Well, they can be made bigger. They're not just always fixed. So sometimes we would, if you want to do a protective shield of light, it goes out around your body in the egg-shaped oval, but the star is there too. So this light sort of penetrates inside the star to some degree, but the star is around the egg-shaped oval as well.
In our Patreon channel, I already uploaded 2 exercises with explanation. So if you really want to learn it, please check them out in our archive. Okay, I think we answered all of them.
Okay,
I hope so.
This is from Wayne. Hi, Wayne.
Hi, Wayne.
Hi, Daniel and AKI. Thank you both and your team for all the amazing support you have provided over the year. I attended the recent seminar online and it was profound and transformational. My question is, how can we perceive the divine plan so that we may coordinate ourselves with it? This is a good question.
Yeah.
This is a very good question.
Deep question. Mm.
Well, of course, introspection, meditation, contemplation, those kind of things will attune you to the divine plan, but it's pretty easy to see the divine plan. Just look around. Everything that's happening is the divine plan. Now, one of the things Daspo's always just said is uh, illness is unnatural, wholeness, wellness is natural. Okay, so how do we know that wellness is natural? That would mean it's part of the divine plan to be well. How do we know that? How can we prove that other than just theoretical words? Well, look at anybody. It can be the greatest saint or the worst criminal. And if he gets a little cut on his body and they keep it clean, what happens? It heals. If the Holy Spirit doesn't say, oh, this guy's a criminal, I'm not going to heal that cut. I'm only going to heal the cut on the saint. It's not like that. So we can see that God's will is for all of us to be whole and healthy, even down to the tiniest little scratches or a broken bone. So that's the divine plan for humans to be well. But we interfere, right? We interfere with our negative thoughts and feelings and all that other things that take us off the path or slow us down on the path. But our path, obviously, divine plan is the prodigal son story. In terms of the human being, it's the prodigal son story. So he comes, he gets his lessons, goes back to the Father. That's all we're doing here. We're doing the same exact thing. So just watch, observation. Look around you. You can see how things happen. And sometimes you can see your own thing. If you're paying attention to your own life, you'll see where you create a little karma, and then maybe not too long from now, it comes back to you. You go, oh, I know why that came back. Well, it's God's plan to balance. That's just showing you God's going to balance everything, no matter how severe the crime or whatever. There's a balance to it, an equal and proportional balance. Never do you commit one wrong and get some giant horrible thing on it. You get it proportional to the wrong you did. It's exact. And it's the same thing with goodness. When you do something good for somebody, you get the reward back, if you want to call it a reward, but you get the reflection of it back as goodness coming to you. So we just need to watch how everything is working out there. What's the divine plan? I presume you're talking about human beings. Now, when you get into human beings, we got all the psychonoetical things. We have thoughts and feelings, desires, intentions, motivations. So that takes observation to kind of get through that. But you compare between what you know and what you don't know. So you're trying to figure out something. So you sort of compare and you look around and say, well, in God's world, it seems like growth is part of the divine plan. And then it reaches a point and then it decays. Nothing stays the same. It's either a state of growing or dissolving. So basically, just that. Observe, ask your guardian. He's happy to tell you what the divine plan is.
Yes. Your question is how can we perceive the divine plan so that we may coordinate ourselves with it? Divine plan is the blueprint of God. God contemplates on his divine plan and create everything. So through divine meditation, contemplation on the divine plan, everything is made. So everything what we see around here now and all of them existing in the world of in the worlds of creation is under the divine plan. We have the promise, the second promise, saying about to be ready at all times in all places to serve for the divine plan. So everything which is manifested in the world of creation is created by created by the divine plan, by divine contemplation, which means we can access to it or attune to it, coordinate to it anytime. What we have to do is just stop your thoughts and emotion of your personality, present day personality, and concentrate on whatever you want to know and observe it, as Daniel said. Observation and concentration are the key to coordinate or attune with the divine law is the kind of basic systems of the divine plan. So when we observe calming down our daily emotion and thoughts, controlling it under our willpower, and when we concentrate and observe something, then the information or the knowledge, wisdom will come. So in that way, we will go deeper and deeper, and by observation, we can expand our self-awareness and self-consciousness unlimitedly. So please try one little by little, step by step, to stop your daily emotion and thoughts and just calm down, relax your three bodies, and concentrate and observe something. So for example, I prepared the lily. That's why. I cut it because I didn't want to cut, but anyway, I prepared it. And in my daily emotion, I cut it, I prepared it. Pollen is a little bit on the petal, so I'm wearing white clothes, or I might get the pollen. I have to treat it carefully and gently. This is my daily emotion and thoughts, right? And I want to show this to you, to everyone. This beautiful lily. It smells good, but please stop everything, my way of thinking or way of feeling, and just hold it and observe it, concentrate on it, and try to feel becoming one with it, getting rid of all personal emotion and thoughts. Then we might be able to understand about this lily more than researching on the book or my knowledge or something here, listen, something, hearing, something which we hear from other people, we can gain the information and divine laws or plan by observation. We can expand our ability to know something really in true sense. Look at this beautiful lily, This is my thought, which I would like to tell you. So this is my thought, but if we observe very carefully and silently, we can naturally see the petal has the six-pointed star, right? Then we can access to the first as the shape. We can access to its shape as the six-pointed star. But behind, if we expand more our self-awareness, then self-consciousness, then we will be able to know the meaning behind the six-pointed star. And we will expand more to know deeper and deeper more about the divine plan. Please try whatever which is around your environment.
Okay, well, now Nabulo saying, "Hi, Daniel and AKI, blessings and thanks for both of you for hosting these sessions. Question 1. I've heard Daniel previously mention that the spirit soul that incarnated as Daskalos mainly works in and around the Mediterranean area. Yes, he incarnates there a lot because, as he said, he was in charge of this area. The next part of the question is this the same broadly true for everybody else? Do we in our soul groups tend to incarnate in the same geographical areas or specific people, group, race, nation across successive generations? Yeah, sure. It's not quite the same as Daskalos being assigned, a master being assigned this area to protect and work in. But we do. We have soul families, and we incarnate with them over and over. And but it depends. It's not like this fixed thing. It depends on what each person does in life, what the lessons they learn, and what the lessons they don't get, and that shapes their destiny, and that shapes where they're going to incarnate and who they're going to incarnate with. So it's true, but it's not hard and fixed for everybody. It depends on how you do.
Hmm.
You want to go ahead with that one?
Hmm. Yeah, as he says, and it likely happened, and in the Scalus's case, it's so, but not all his inclination is a Mediterranean area. Uh, Sometimes it's Lemuria, sometimes it's in Russia. So we can't say all of them, but they likely happen. Same thing happened on us.
Question two is many East Asian Taoist systems emphasize cultivating the qi, the etheric vitality in the form of qing, by limiting sexual release. Did Daskalos teach anything about this in his circles? No, he didn't teach the Asian thing like that. He said for him, sex was only for procreation, but he knew that the rest of the students weren't there, so they had their own thing about it. But he said it's so badly misused. He just advised not to misuse it, to be responsible about it. So for Daskalos, from what I observed, it's all about the elementals because the elementals are creating everything. They're creating everything in our life. So I felt when I was there, he was trying to pull our attention to that primarily, to that main point that we are creating our destinies. Our unhappiness, our happiness comes from our own elementals. How we create the elementals, how we perceive things, and the elementals that are generated by that perception. So um, he just said it's holy and it should be highly respected, but he didn't give teachings on abstention from it or anything. So
Mm, mm. Yeah, but I found first of all, do you know the meaning of it? For Qing, I didn't get the meaning of it. Qi is okay, but in the form of Qing,
yeah, I'm not
CHIN.
super familiar with the Asians, the Taoist systems, so I can't
Cheese.
speak to that.
Okay. So, okay. But, okay, I don't understand the meaning of it. Ching, CHING, but I will answer. Christ said, "You shall not commit adultery, but I tell you that everyone who gazes at a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart." What I wanted to say is, even if we control or we try not to make a sexual intercourse physically, if we have a desire, lust, psychoanalytically, then it means same thing. So suppressing these kind of desire, we need to really introspect inside of us, looking within to check the sexual desire. If our sexual desire is under our control or not, healthily. We have the work of the Hercules, number 3, Alimanthian war, to control our physical desires, aggressive desires. So in this way, we have the method to control our sexual desires, but not specifically told about the controlling our sexual desire. Everything, all our elementals and also behavior. So in our introspection, we check our thought, emotion, and behavior, actions. All of them, we have to check everything. And if we are released by those kind of bondage about our sexual desire, about our sex, then it's really we can say we really overcome it. And I would like to add one more thing. But when man and woman hold each other, embrace each other, the man has in the center, and man has taken each center has the different electricity and the magnetism centers, and woman has in each center have the character of the electricity and the magnetism. So when man and woman hold each other, then, for example, the center of our lung, woman has electricity and the man has kind of magnetism. But when we hold each other, then it's gonna be the change there. The woman's center, lung center, it's gonna be like a magnetism, and the man's center, it's gonna be magnet, the electricity. So it's gonna be changed. It creates the circulation of the electromagnetic energy. So that's a beautiful part. So under our control in a healthy way, creating this kind of stream is, we can say it, healthy.
Okay, his third question is, I read in Diving with the Whale that Dascalos love cactus and believe that they absorb negative elemental. Please, could you tell us more about this and also any other info you have about plants that are psychonoetically good for us? Yeah, he did say that, but you have to understand it's not the plant. It's the intelligence behind the plant, which are the archangels and angels. And that's when he communicated with plants, that's what he communicated with. He communicated with the intelligence behind the plant and could get effects in plant. And one time he cultivated this cactus. Some prince from someplace sent him a cactus from Africa, and they knew he liked it, but it was a really dangerous cactus. It really it was so sensitive. As soon as you barely even got close to touch it, it shot you with thorns, right? And it was very painful thorns, and the plant died. One day, he was in a florist shop, and he saw the same cactus. And he told the florist shop cactus, he says, "Oh, I know that cactus." And he started to put his hand to it, and the guy shrieked. He said, "Don't touch it. It's very dangerous." And he says, "Not to me." And so he put his hand on he says, "It's going to put thorns in your hands." He said, "No, it won't." And he touched it, he held it. No thorns. And the guy, of course, was blown away. But that's because he's communicated. And what he would say, would, communicate to the intelligence behind the plant is, "Oh, you're safe. You don't have to be, I'm not going to hurt you." He would try to, it's a defensive mechanism for the cactus to shoot that, an instinctual defensive mechanism to protect itself. So he would communicate to the intelligence behind it, he's not going to hurt it, and he didn't. There's so many things he did so many things like that with all kinds of plants. But he did love cactus, and as he said, the intelligence behind the cactus absorbed that. But really, there are so many plants that are, we just slaughtered the rainforest. It was full of medicinal plants. They're finding all kinds that they just heard of. I can't remember what it was, but they've just found another one that really great benefits the person. Because what's happening, it's kind of like the Ayurveda thing. When you eat that plant, it has an etheric double, and it passes through your etheric double. It's not only the material body of the plant that's helping you, it's the etheric associated with that plant. So there are a lot of them that are good for us, and you can have to study that. He never really taught much about that, except the fact that you can communicate with the intelligence behind a plant or an animal, and you can get it to do things. He was just full of those things. I'll tell one more story. One time at this time of year, a friend of his bought him because he knew how much he loved plants. Bought Dascalos a book on botany. He was a botanist himself, and so he bought this really good book on botany. And they were looking through it together, and he goes, "Oh, I have this cactus in my backyard." And the guy said, "No, you don't. That it can't grow here in Cyprus. It's got to be a very warm climate." He said, "No, I have it in the backyard." He said, "No, it doesn't grow here." He says, "Well, let's go look." So he goes, looks, and apparently there was two versions of this plant. One produced a white flower, one produced a purple flower. And they go back and go, "What is that plant?" And he says, "Yes, it's going to produce a purple flower." He goes, "How do you know that?" Because you can't tell by the plant what kind of flower it's going to produce till it produces it, right? And he says, "I'll prove it to you." Now, he said there was frost on the ground, and this cactus was from Africa, and there's frost on the ground, but he's loving it, and the plant's surviving. And this was like, I think, 3 days before Christmas or something. And he said, "I can prove it to you. Come back here in 3 days, and I'll prove it to you." The guy says, "Okay." He left. So then he went and talked to the plants. "Please, can you produce a bloom, two or three blooms, two blooms, to show this guy your color?" And he talked to the plant and convinced the plant to try to produce a bloom in, it was almost freezing in Cyprus, which is just unbelievable. Guy comes back 3 days and it has 3 purple blooms. And that was that story. So he loved plants and could get them to do lots of stuff.
Yeah. Not only cactus, please try with any plant, any trees, hug and communicate with it. What we access to is not the plant itself. When we calm down our daily emotion and thoughts and start to observe and start to attune with whatever we want to communicate with, then they higher intelligences, what he says, like angels, my first nature spirit, and the angel and archangels, we can communicate with them, and we can receive the information about it, and we will be healed. We will have knowledge or intuition through our intuition or guidances, whatever. So please try with all kind of plants, even flower. It's so fun and joyful. I'm so happy to communicate with those kind of entities, beings. Please try. Not only plant, the same thing we can do with animals. That calming down our emotion and thoughts, present their personality, and try to attune with their vibration. And if this is the work of the masters, but if we can attune with the angels and archangels of the wild animals, then we can tame them. And that way, masters and advanced seekers can tame even the wild animal, attuning with the angels and archangels behind that animal. So please try.
No, don't try. Don't try with dangerous wild animals.
Not, I mean, not wild animal. Good point. But what I meant is please try with the plants, all around you. It's so fun.
That's what's also said that on an animal, not only communicating with the intelligence behind him, but he could actually access the subconscious brain of the animal and get it to do whatever he wanted to. Bring a bird down from the sky, it would land on his finger. He could do whatever he wanted to within the circle of possibility.
By accessing the archangels and angels of that animal, right?
No, there's different ways to do it. That's one way to do it. When it comes to an animal, for one example, he would create an elemental of that very animal, send that elemental into the real animal, and create in it the desire to do whatever he wanted to do it. And that way, he's saying he's accessing the subconscious brain of
Yeah,
the animal.
but based on the attuning with the higher entities of that animal, right?
Yeah, I just said that, but he does have other
Of
methods.
course, of course, it's
So,
easy.
next question is, what happens to a psychical body? No, that's not right. What's the difference between a psychotherapist and a social worker in the Researchers of Truth system? I noted that upon initiation into the system, one has to choose one or the other.
Mm.
Well, a social worker is like caring for the physical side of the man or the human being. It's a material thing. They go out and they serve them. They do things for them. They take them food. They take care of them physically. Psychotherapist is working on the psychonoetical bodies. They're not working on material bodies. I mean, it can, but the word psychotherapist, psycho, it's the wrong word because in Greek it means soul. So you're not really working on soul. Soul doesn't need any work, but your emotions and your thoughts need work. So that's the psychonoetical component to that. Um, and I think it just was, what did you feel? Some people just want to get out there and just lift physically and do things for people. And that's a beautiful, beautiful social work.
Mm.
Unfortunately, in our world, the people that do the good work, like social work and stuff, they are the least paid. The most greedy, selfish people get all the money. So this is showing you that people want to go into social work. It's more of a pure thing. They're not in it for fame and fortune. They're in it to help people. And that's just as good as psychotherapy. Just whatever you're drawn to, whatever you feel called for.
Mm. It's okay. I agree with that at this point.
Okay.
Mhm.
Michael's asking, what happens to the psychical body when someone is diagnosed as brain dead and is on life support? Is there
Mm.
any reason to keep someone alive in this state? That's a loaded question there. Um, well, nothing happens to the psychical body. The if you broke a leg, you don't have a broken psychical leg. If you're ill in some way in your material body, your psychical body is not uh, crippled, for example. However, illnesses come to the material body through the psychical body. So there must be, in some cases, well, there is a psychonoetical component to all the illnesses and accidents. But there's, you see somebody on life support. I saw this one lady, man, she was so pathetic looking. It was like a vegetable. But I knew when I looked at her that as distressing as that looked, she's free. She wasn't really in the body. She's outside the body. You see that body just, laying there like a vegetable connected to tubes and everything, but they're not in it all the time. Sometimes some people get in it, but the one I'm talking about, and I think when you're getting close to pulling the plug, um, that person is not really in that material body and they're not suffering like we imagine they are because they're in the psychical plane in their psychical body.
Mm.
Now, is there a reason to keep someone alive in this state? That's a matter of personal. It's a one-on-one thing. You can't just say it's blanket statement on this. But why do people go through this? Well, it's part of life, right? But there's another part of it, especially when you get in a situation where you got to make a decision like this. That person is literally giving everyone around them who's affected in the family or friends a lesson, an experience. And by that experience is how we raise our consciousness, how we uplift our
Mm.
awareness. So all of them are going through an experience. Maybe that person, in some cases, is doing it for them. It's not necessarily they've got all this bad karma. They're doing it to help
Mm.
these other people get a lesson about life, love, and death.
Mm.
So, got something?
Yeah. You covered most of the things which I was going to say. So, yeah, their psychonoetical body does work fully in the psychonoetical world, but their psychonoetical body doesn't work, can express in the material world. So they are okay in the other dimensions. And the purpose of why they have to lay down on the bed, in that condition, mostly it is they are giving the opportunity to people around them to learning experience to, you know, to expand the self-awareness and consciousness the, of people who are around them. So in this, under the divine plan, they are helping each other in that certain situation.
There was a story about this guy in the 70s who had one leg, and I think he lost it in Vietnam. But he would have these very vivid dreams. And at night he would be running and doing all these normal things. And he was so, I mean, it was so real for him that in the morning, sometimes he would get up and try to just walk and fall flat on the floor because he didn't have a physical leg. So he's free on the other side with his body's there with the broke cut off leg. He's running and happy on the other side. Okay. Laura. She has a question about Joshua's the Christ mission on earth. When he said, I am with you until the end of time, does that mean that he stays within the earth until every soul is redeemed? And then he goes to other worlds to begin again and other planets of mankind? Or is he simultaneously doing that work everywhere now? Yeah. Well, we are in him and he is in us. We are a cell in him. So, of course, he's with us till the end of time. And that's, until you become one with God, that's really the end of time. So, we have guardian angel who's with us right to the very end until, as he says, we no longer need him. Well, when do we no longer need him? Well, and this is going to be deep if I go too far in this, but once we get self-realized, we don't need him. We've burned off our karma, paid our debts, we've made it. However, we don't take our liberation. We come back to help people on earth. So the guardian comes with us to help us lift up others, to help us in that process. And so once you get to the point of self-realization, spirit self-realization, you're one with God. So you don't need a teacher. You don't need a guardian angel. You are exactly what they are, I should say. So, yeah, and it's like there's so many planets. This is the passion story of Christ goes on every planet where humanity is coming up through the evolutionary cycles to reach self-realization, right? So there are so many planets out there with this going on. It's just there's more planets than there are grains of sand on Earth. So I mean suns, and around those suns there's multiple planets. So clearly within the universe there's other planets that have life on it. And I mean life, human life, through the idea of man, as we have life. So it's going on simultaneously is the answer. And it doesn't happen on a planet till that planet has evolved to a point where they can just barely begin to understand his teachings. Can you imagine Christ back 2,000 years ago said, well, love your enemies? It's like, what? Are you kidding? They thought he was crazy. This was the very first time that man could start to contemplate on that and get the idea, to get the teachings he's brought. And question goes on, does he go one by one like the image of Jacob's ladder, where perhaps entire worlds ascend step by step after each other? Thank you, dear brother and sister. Blessings. Yeah, it's like I said, it's just going on all the time. It's not like one sequential thing. You said?
Maybe we should understand about Christ Logos, like this way. In general, we have the example of the tiny drop of ocean. That we have Christ consciousness and the Christ Logos in us, right? But we are like the tiny drop of ocean of life. But the Christ Logos, Christ, as the whole ocean. The qualities, we have the same quality, but the quantity is completely different. So back to your question, he's with us all the time because he's omnipresent. But as Daniel says, the planets are, we have uncountable number of planets in a whole universe. So, and his consciousness is everywhere, which means he can work simultaneously to any planet which is ready to receive his ray. So it's not like our scale of our way of understanding. Okay, finishing Earth and let's go next. It's not like that. It's everywhere. Maybe you can understand it now. Mm. The scale is different, completely different, but the quality is same. Mhm.
Mario. Hi, Mario. He's asking.
Mario. Oh,
Oh, I missed Daniela, so let me go back. Okay. Hey, Danielle.
good for
Hi,
you,
Daniel
Daniel.
Naki. How do we use the symbol of life for healing? So glad to have you with us as presence in these holy days. Love. Yeah, Danielle, that's a great question. That's a great question.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to answer it on a couple of levels. One level is the practice of the symbol of life is very, very advanced. And to be able to do it, we have to have super good visualization skills. It's one thing to visualize a blue sphere, a golden cross, or a white five-pointed star, two-dimensional symbols, right? But when you look at the symbol of life, you see all those various components, and you understand you don't see it 2D like the painting, you see it 3D. So these are spheres, not just circles on the centers. So to be able to visualize that is developing tremendous skills and powers, tremendous skill of visualization, tremendous skill of concentration. And of course, when you create any kind of visualized image, you have to observe it because it may not come out perfect. You have to keep your observation on what you're creating. So this has given us tremendous healing skills, components, elements for healing that we need to use: concentration, observation. All these work for the same goal. So the symbol of life is going to give us a lot of abilities to do healing work. In addition, you can visualize the symbol of life on somebody that you want to help. Or even just this image of the thing, Dasclos says, the masters charge these things. You know, when Dasclos painted or one of these, the masters come and charge it. So just even looking at the symbol, just seeing the symbol has an uplifting benefit on the students, as Dasclos reported. Just seeing it without understanding it at all. So the same thing here. You can visualize also the colors. For example, you know, maybe you see it's got gold in the triangle on top, pink in the center square, and light blue in the lower part, if you can see that behind me. And these colors have very, very good healing effects on people. So we can send blue light, you know, from our solar plexus. We can tap into it. When we're dressed in the symbol of life and we do anything on healing, it's much more powerful. So I would suggest if you want to use the symbol to help people, dress in it and then do the regular healing work as described. Okay, Tom?
Okay. I would like to answer in the two ways. One is for our self-healing, how we can use symbol of life for our self-healing. When we start our incarnations, we have the perfect one, the archetypal idea, perfect psychonautical body, which is matching with the archetypal idea of human being. And also, we are given the amorphous, unshaped, our psychonautical body, which we will work on through our all incarnations and develop our self-consciousness and self-awareness. And slowly, slowly, we will reshape the structure of the psychoanalytical or amorphous, unshaped psychoanalytical body to its completion. So, using the symbol of life, working on the symbol of life means reconstruct, reshape our amorphous psychoanalytical body. So the more we work on the symbol of life, or amorphous, psychoanalytical body will be shaped and enlivened. But also we can enliven the structure of the symbol of life in our bodies through our daily actions, thoughts, emotions. We can, of course, construct it. We shape our psychoanalytical body, amorphous one. And at the beginning, when we just started our incarnation, all the three centers, head, heart, and the solar plexus, is in the heart center in an amorphous way. But the more we develop our self-consciousness and self-awareness, then slowly, slowly, this center, these three centers is gathering in the heart center, is the head center is going up and the solar plexus center is going down. Then it will create the head center, the golden, the yellow color, and the heart center, and the whitish pink, and the solar plexus center as whitish blue. Then, at the beginning, in our condition, when we are not developed enough, then when our psychical or psychoanalytical condition, because the old center is gathering in one place, then it influence our physical condition because the centers are gathering, influence each other. But once we develop the shape, reconstruct the shape well, then each center will be strongly shine, three suns shine in each center, then our psychoanalytical condition doesn't influence our material body. So the more we develop our self-consciousness and self-awareness, then we will be more healthier, and we won't become sick. That's why masters, we rarely see sick masters, who has a very weak and sick master, right? Because their self-awareness and consciousness is developed, so it doesn't influence their psychoanalytical consciousness, doesn't influence their material body. In that way, we will develop. So if I answer to your question for the self-healing, we can use symbol of life in that way. The more we work on that, we can enliven it, and that we can be healthier. That's one part. The second part, for the healing for other people, Daniel explained it. Yeah, we can, send the light of sky blue. We can observe the sky blue in here, right? The solar plexus, around the solar plexus center. And we can send this light to other people, and we can send the whitish pink light, heart center. It shows in the symbol of light. And we can send the canary yellow or golden light to the head center. This is a kind of general, very healthy, but very precious and important color of light to heal other people, and which we are allowed to send. But the symbol of life, we should respect that person's free will, if they want to try it on or not, if they want to work on it or not. So I don't recommend it to send simple lives to other people, but we can introduce and that opportunity to other people. But I don't think we can send this kind of whole structure to other people, but we can send a general healing light to others.
Okay, now Mario, how would you characterize The second coming of Christ within us. Is it a further expansion of our consciousness, like increasing our shoe size, or is it more like expansion of consciousness, totally spiritual, and connect more? And since there is various forms of a second coming for humanity, planetary, cosmically, will a second coming occur for all humanity, or individualized and relative to each person's state of consciousness, being individualized and relative for each person? Further, for planetary second coming, could there be a abomination of humanity, a climax period on Earth before the coming of Christ? Yeah, it could. It's happening now. Where? It's true.
That's it.
No. It's the wrong question.
Sorry, Mario.
That's the shortest answer. It's
You
not.
talk. Prepare.
Alter egos and ideals of flesh reaching a climax of their egotism. It's happening now. Don't you look? Can't you see what's going on? There is a certain group of people in the climax of their egoism is running a bad scam on humanity. And it's all related to Revelations. You're right. Okay. In one form or the other, Armageddon, the battle of ideals. And why is Jerusalem pointed out the most? Is it due to the heart center of Mother Nature, planet, God, Holy Spirit? What are your thoughts? Well, there's a lot in there, so let me go back. The Christ conscious, second coming of Christ is when he comes to us. So it's not just Jesus Christ. It's going to be Mario Christ. It's going to be Aki Christ. It's the Christ consciousness. It's self-realization. That's what that is. And it's going to come to people. Right now, it's coming to about 1 or 2 people every 25 years. Okay? But one day it's going to start to go, but those people come back and they keep coming back. And pretty soon we have more and more enlightened people on the planet trying to help the unenlightened people reach enlightenment. So what's a good example? It's a logarithmic exponential expansion, which means that, it's like goes like big, like 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. It starts jumping incredibly. So when Christ consciousness starts to wake in humanity, it's going to be like popcorn, at some point, and it's going to.
Sorry. I strongly visualize the popcorn. You said
It's just going to go off. Yeah.
Okay. Indian popcorn.
And it's all the same. And every human, every individual personality will receive this. How long? How much suffering does that personality have to go through before receiving it? Well, that's up to how quickly they're trying to reach this state, quite honestly. So, yeah, and that's an issue. It's individualized for each person. Yeah, in sort of a way, but the ultimate Christ consciousness or the return of Christ is all the same. So eventually, you may have this experience, you may have that, somebody else may have that experience, but ultimately it's taking them to the same place. So the destination is common, but the journey along the way will be unique to each of us.
Why?
Why is Jerusalem pointed out the most? Well, right there is the 3 main religions: Jewish, Christian, and Islamic, and they're all claiming the same spot. This is all part of the divine plan. Or no, I lost it. Oh, there it is.
Is it due to being hurt?
Yeah, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's maybe you could say that, but it's really more than that. It's part of the divine plan that humanity works out their issues, and one of the issues is that my God's great, your God's crap. That's part of the problem on Earth. And people think their things are good and other people's things are not. So they force them together to hopefully, and not explode, but hopefully to kind of work all that out so we can acknowledge the true religion, which is every different religion on Earth, every sincere different religion on Earth is trying to point to it in their own way. They use different words, different terms, suggest different methods, but ultimately the goal is the same. Yeah.
the second coming of Christ is about us, each one of us, the Christ in each one of us. I already made a meditation, maybe last Christmas, and explained it. So if you like, please check it out. And it's the marriage of our present day personality with our real self, which is the self realization. Marriage, five-pointed star with the six-pointed star as a symbol. And yeah, it's really what's going on right now. We chose to be born in this era, so let's live strongly in this very rare and precious moment in the history of the human being. We call it the era of great cleansing. Yeah, let's cleanse as much as we can. This is all what we can do. And let's uplift the vibration of us as best as we can, getting rid of all kind of past burdens or dirt or whatever. It's a chance to get rid of all unnecessary things and move to the another perspective. So it's very important period right now. And I understand why the Jerusalem pointed out the most. He already explained physically in this material world, but we can understand the revelation in many layers, in many levels. So I understand a little bit different, additional, adding on this part. It's a gathering of the all, three religions, but we can understand maybe deeper in many layers. Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to be able to go as long as we did last week. We're just over an hour now, and we're going to have to stop at an hour and a half. So we may miss some questions. I'm going to go. Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you. So we may have to leave some of the questions till next week. I'm trying to say. The next question is from Gustavo.
Question
Brazilian.
received.
Hey guys, question number 2,335 on the symbol of life.
I love it.
Daspo said a researcher of truth should be a question mark, a burning question mark.
Burning questions.
Well, 2,335 is quite burning. Okay.
It's funny.
On the symbol of life, should I visualize the unmanifest beingness, the part in black in the drawing? Well, the black in the drawing is not really unmanifested beingness. It's the superlight, which are imperceptible to our material eyes. That's why Dascalos paints it. Of course, from the unmanifested state, and you can't even give it a black color, from this unmanifested state, this whole thing comes, but at the physical level, the background is black because it represents the superlight that's imperceptible to our eyes. Psychically, the symbol of life on our body has a blue background because in the psychical and noetical worlds, we're not using material eyeballs. We're using super senses, which can perceive this light. Same thing with the noetic. The noetic background of the symbol of life is golden. Mm-hmm. So this is just an example of the light higher and higher, of course. But the black is not the unmanifested. Mm-hmm. It's not. I got the place where Desco says it. He says it's the superlight. So let me just go forward with this now. Okay. And should I visualize Michael and Raphael on my left side, on my sides? Absolutely, yeah. And visualize that. But we don't really visualize black around us when we do our symbol of life visualizations.
Yeah. I understand it. The black background is unmanifested absolute being. Actually, it's not unmanifested condition. Unmanifested state is not like it's a terminology, but the unmanifested state is absolute beingness, not beingness. It's a small thing, but it influenced a lot. So it's a beingness, unmanifested state. It's a kind of stillness, absolute stillness, unmanifested state is described as the black color. And the beingness is manifested one. For example, it's a golden equilateral triangle on the top of the symbol of life. So it's manifested, beingness. Unmanifested one is beingness, okay? As described as the black color. And as Daniel said, in the psychical plane, it will show as the blue color, light blue color. And in the noetical plane, it's gonna be shown as the golden color. So when you meditate on the symbol of life, of course, we visualize the Michael on the right side and the Raphael on the left side. And at the beginning, you can visualize the black color or whatever, but because black color is super light, which means absolute being, beingness, it contains all color. Please understand, black color contains all color, unmanifested. Only as he described, we can't perceive with our eyes. That's why we see it black. But it contains, it has the potential of all colors in it. So once you start your meditation, creating this image, but be careful, right side is Michael and the left side is Raphael. We visualize, as it says in how can I say, in the way I described it, then this black color, you will receive the different color in your meditation. So first, visualize that color, but you will experience the another color. For example, for me, I whatever I describe, no, whatever I visualize, I will see the white, pure white, kind of it looks like egg-shaped overall light, and then symbol of life will show up. But first, we can visualize it as we were taught, and then it will show up. And sometimes it might show up as the blue color as the background or golden color as the background. The white color might show up as the background. So let's please explore yourself by visualizing the basic information. Then you will experience it.
One other thing too is, we say we're talking about a symbol of life, materially, psychically, noetically. But there's also macrocosmically, mesocosmically, and microcosmically. So sure, macrocosmically, the background is there, but mesocosmically, it's not really there. And neither, this is just from what I've learned from Daskos, that when he drew the symbol of life on someone, he did not put the arches above it. That's really seen macrocosmically. Microcosmically, it's not that way, because we as a personality, these arches, especially the 5 arches, they represent the 5 principles of mind emanating from God and all the eternal beings in God. So obviously, as a personality, we're not radiating, we're borrowing that mind. We're using it and borrowing it, but we're not creating it. That's a spirit soul, yes, it's emanating from us. So I perceive that's the way he didn't put that on over the symbol of life drawn on the body. He just said it that way. Okay. Ian.
That's it.
What?
That's all today.
No, it's not.
Oh,
We got time to do another one or two. Look at I printed it out for you.
Yeah, but I was okay. If you want it,
Oh, well, I thought you just answered it.
No, we already answered. It's okay.
Okay.
It's not a problem.
Okay. Ian. Many blessings to you both. When doing the three suns meditation, is it necessary to breathe consciously through the meditation, even when visualizing each sun? My second question, if I may, things don't matter much and most things don't matter at all. What was Daskos referring to only material things? Well, the first part is initially you need to set your breathing. You need to establish a breathing time 4-4, 6-6 if you want to really empower it. But after you set that breathing and you do it and set the pattern, you can release it to the archangels who will help you maintain it. And so you can concentrate more on the visualization part. Daskos, from a young boy, he had even given this to people who wrote it in books before he incarnated. But anyway, as a young boy, he started saying this. He said it till the end. Things don't matter much, and most things don't matter at all. He's talking about everything, material, psychically, noetically. And, materially, you get a material object and blah, 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 and if you lose interest in it, you get something else. And pretty soon that means nothing to you. Maybe it was an ardent desire and it took you a lot of work and a lot of money or whatever to get it. But after a while, you stop losing interest and you want to desire something else. So it doesn't matter that much. Psychically, how many people have either let's just say, thought of killing themselves when they have a bad relationship breakup? Oh, she left me. I'm done. I'm going to just commit suicide. Life's not worth living, right? Those same people who are on the verge of suicide, if you meet them 2 years later, they're not affected by it at all. It means nothing to them. Didn't matter at all. It was an experience in the moment, but it's not torturing. So ultimately, all these things, meaning material, psychically, and noetical things, lose their meaning. That's why we as a personality, our thoughts and emotions and desires and interests, those change over life, just like the changing of the importance of these things. They seem very important at one time, and then sometime later, they mean nothing. This is what he's talking about.
Okay, your first question. Yeah, I understand what you mean. During all through the Three Suns meditation, if we do, your point is if we keep the conscious breathing, we can concentrate on the visualization of the Three Suns or whatever we create, right? The first, please work on conscious breathing. Before you start whatever exercise to visualize, first, please relax completely, which means calm down your emotion and thoughts and physical tensions. And next, breathe consciously, which means notice or aware what you are breathing, that you are breathing. And the next step is breathe rhythmically, to communicate with the archangels in our bodies. So prepare this condition first and try to visualize something, three suns or whatever. So you don't need to, focus on or keep reminding, oh, I have to breathe consciously. That's going to be the distraction. But establish this condition first steadily and create, visualize whatever you want to visualize. And then you can forget about it then because higher intelligences, archangels, and in our bodies already know what we are trying to do. So they take over what we are trying to do. And they are very pleased by what we are trying to do. So you can forget about it. And the next question, nothing matter much. This is a beautiful, deep teaching. But please don't, he explained it, beautifully about the meaning of nothing matter much. Most of the things, it doesn't matter at all. This is a beautiful teaching to, how can I say, disconnect with the burden psychically, noetically, and all levels. And let us fly high, soar high, getting rid of all kind of burden or stains and psychological level and even physical levels. But please don't misunderstand it. Whatever happened, which we really need to work on, we really sincerely have to work on it. Please don't misuse that word. Whatever you encounter, what is uncomfortable, calling it nothing matter much. Most of the things doesn't matter at all. This is kind of egotism to, avoid to work on what we really need to work on. So with the wisdom, please work on this word. But this word is very beautiful. We can understand it two ways. And please remember, try not to misuse the word and use that word effectively. I think that.
Okay. Well, I think we better go. We have a great question next. We'll do it next time.
Yes.
What did Christ mean by resist not evil? Don't resist evil. What did he mean by that? It's a great question, and there's a lot to talk about. So we'll talk about that next time.
Thank you very much.
And,
Beautiful questions.
and until then, we wish you a very, very, we're going to say Happy New Year, but Dascalos used to say, have a happier New Year. Because we're always advancing. We should be always advancing. And each year should be a little happier than the year before, world conditions permitting.
Yes, cleansing our bodies. Let's enjoy each moment and stand strong on earth, emitting the light from us. Amen.
Standing strong on earth is very important, especially for 2023, because there's going to be the crashing. It's going to be a loud crashing of a lot of external and internal illusions. So keep your heart open, keep your feet planted firmly on the ground, and with courage, walk into this. A great thing is coming.
Yeah, visualize happier and happier future of you. And it's free to visualize whatever we want to visualize. And we are trained of the visualization. So let's use this divine skill, ability to visualize happier future and create a constructive future ahead of us.
Many blessings for the new year.
Thank you.
I'm going to do that one and that one.